Well, good day, friend. Thank you so much for tuning in to 15 Minutes with Fuzz. I hope you are having the best week. Some of you might be driving to Thanksgiving to see your family. Some of you might be doing some early Christmas shopping, and some of you might be horrible deer hunters that listen to podcasts in your tree stand. I see you. Yeah. But I appreciate you, and I'm sure the deer appreciate you listening to me instead of their little hooves walking through the brush. My name is Fuzz Martin, and this is a show about positive things happening in and around Washington County, Wisconsin. And this week, we're talking about the upcoming Festival of Trees at the Washington County Humane Society. And I'm joined by Joe Poczkalski and Jessica Pillsbury, and we're going to learn all about the event, the trees, the animals, and how you can enjoy it all. And with that, here are 15 minutes on the Washington County Humane Society's Festival of Trees with Joe Poczkalski and Jessica Pillsbury right here on 15 Minutes with Fuzz. Joe, Jessica, thank you so much for coming in today. Can you please start by telling us a bit about Festival of Trees? How did it get started? What makes it unique? What's cool about Festival of Trees?
Yeah, this is our 25th anniversary one, and we're very excited to celebrate that milestone. Myself and the director, Kay, at the Humane Society, we're looking back at some old photos from the very first Festival of Trees, 1999.
Wow.
Really cool to see where it started and where it began. Our previous director, Marnie Brown, came up with the idea in the late 90s, and it was a hit. It took off, and the first festival really set the groundwork for successful fundraisers then on. So really unique in the fact that all of our decor is decorated locally by businesses and individuals, families, in whatever fashion they want. We really don't put a lot of guardrails on their creative capacity, which is exciting. We get some really cool, unique ideas that come through. So I don't see a whole lot of that in the area, which I think makes it really unique and makes it really one to stop at.
So for people who have not attended Festival of Trees before, can you walk us through what a guest at Festival of Trees could expect at this year's event? What are some of the highlights they could look forward to?
Absolutely. So I like to describe it as walking into a winter wonderland.
All right.
You really can't describe it to people until they have been there and to get the whole picture. But you walk into a room full of Christmas lights and decorated trees. The trees all have a theme. There's wreaths, there's holiday decor. And then we have live music, a cafe, a bakery. And then we also have adoptable animals for viewing. So
Great. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, always bringing it back to the pets is the best part about the Washington County Humane Society.
That's right.
Joe, you had mentioned before about it briefly touched on who decorates the trees, but can you talk about really the process of how the trees are created, decorated, designed? How does that process go about, and really like what goes into it?
A ton goes into it. This is a massive, massive display we're talking about. The decorating starts pretty much right now. I think within the next week or so, we'll be inviting people who sponsored trees to come by and start decorating. We call them decorating parties, and they're a lot of fun.
Oh, cool.
Sometimes we serve wine, but we have snacks and coffee, and people really have fun. They bring decor in. We have their tree set up for them or their wreath available, and they can come in and start. And we give them whatever tools they need. We sometimes give out hammers and wire cutters and all sorts of crazy stuff. So we really encourage that. But that part of it begins early November and will go pretty much up until the night before the event.
So how does this event, and we've talked about how, some of your fun events in the past here on the show, but how does this event, the Festival of Trees, benefit, the animals and the programming that you have at Washington County Humane Society? Can you share a bit about how the funds that you raise here at Festival of Trees helps make a difference at the Humane Society?
Absolutely. So we very much rely on our fundraisers to fund what we do at the shelter. So you're really making a difference by just attending our events.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the medical needs that we have for the animals, that's what most of our money goes to. That's basically the biggest part.
Yeah, yes.
The impact. The money raised is really impressive. We're closing in at $1 million raised at this particular fundraiser.
Wow. Okay.
At the 25th anniversary, which is really exciting. So yeah, it's huge impact medically and just helps us introduce new programs, strengthen our current ones.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
It's been going on since 1999, and that was the year that we all partied.
That's right.
I let's see, I was 21 years old in 1999.
Fun.
So I don't remember it completely because I was working that year because there was a big storm.
Studying too. Yeah.
But are there any special stories from Festival of Trees that stand out to you in your years that you've worked for Washington County Humane Society? Any moments that captured the joy, or any stories that people talk about maybe that have been there for a while at the Humane Society?
I'm going on about 4 years at the shelter, my employment. So there's a long history before me, but we almost had a fire.
Oh, wow. Okay.
A year and a half ago.
Wow. Okay.
We had an extension cord that was a really old one, probably from the 1999 Festival of Trees, bundled into some cotton. And one of the guests saw a plume of smoke rise.
Oh.
So, it was a small isolated thing, never turned into a fire, but one of those heart pounders that I remember.
Yes.
Not a fun memory, but
if you could donate extension cords, if you're listening,
we'll take them.
Yes, please.
We use a lot of extension cords. We should actually do a count on how many we use. We have 2 giant totes full of small extension cords. So
sure, I bet
a fun statistic.
Yeah. How many trees typically get decorated during this event?
I would say last year we had 64.
Okay.
And I think if you include the trees, holiday decor, and wreaths, we had about 115.
Wow. Okay.
Displays in total. Yeah.
Oh, very good. How could people from the community participate in the festival? Are there opportunities for people to volunteer, donate? This episode, we're recording it a little bit earlier in November than the people who are hearing it. It's coming out in later November, but are there opportunities to sponsor trees yet? Those kind of things?
So sponsor trees, we usually have to know about a month ahead of time.
Okay.
But for the future, for next year, we're always looking for tree sponsors and holiday decor sponsors. You also can be an event sponsor. And then we also are looking for just volunteers in general. So volunteers, that could be you're helping in the cafe during the event itself, selling raffle tickets, or you could be helping set up the month prior. We have tons of different setup days where you can help fluff trees and put trees together for those decorators.
Okay. Are these fake trees, or are they?
They are fake trees, yes.
Yeah. So when you said fluff trees, I'm like, oh, they're not. Nobody's out there fluffing a blue spruce.
That's right.
All right. So aside from the trees and the wreaths and such, are there other activities or events going on during Festival of Trees that people can participate in and look forward to?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is the raffle.
Okay.
So why people come is to have the fun experience there. But then on top of that, they can also buy raffle tickets and potentially win a tree.
Okay.
So the plus side to that is that your tree is already decorated, ready
Nice.
to go before Christmas. So that's pretty exciting. And then you have a themed tree for your house.
Yeah.
But other than that, we have live music, we have a cafe, bakery, and then the animals are there. We're actually going to be conducting play groups during the mornings this year, where you can watch the dogs play in groups in our courtyard, which is visible throughout the entire shelter.
That's wonderful. It's a reason to go all by itself.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Definitely. Remember why you're helping.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so again, it started however many years ago, 1999. It should be very easy for me to calculate that 35 years ago, right?
25.
25 years ago, right? 25 years ago.
Yep.
Epic, where we're sitting here, is 35 years because it was started in 1989. So there, I should have just known. But I am in marketing and not in finance.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. So it's been around for a while. How has it evolved from back when it first started, or even let's say, a decade ago till now?
The shelter renovation had a lot to do with that. We had a $7 million reimagination at the shelter that ended just a couple years ago. So that was a major step up for all of our events. We have a beautiful training center, the Sylvia Letts Training Center, we call it, and it's just so much more inviting now. Our old shelter, which we had the Ricky Room, we called it, which is where most of our at-shelter events were set up. And it's, we looked at those pictures from 99. It's a different place completely. So having the physical space to set up and have it be more presentable, more inviting for people, and more accessible is definitely a leg up. But in terms of popularity, the event is growing exponentially each year. We're closing in on $1 million, like I mentioned, and that just means more people are attending, enjoying, and spending more time. So
Sure.
in that way, it's grown so much. We do so much more to showcase our animals, like Jess mentioned, the play groups, which is really cool.
Yep.
So more things to do, more time spent.
Great. in 1999's defense, we all didn't have cell phones with cameras in our pockets then. I think we had cell phones. I don't think they fit in our pockets, but we had cell phones.
Right. In your cars, right?
Yes, exactly. Big old magnet antenna on top. How do events, well, first of all, how is the community response to an event? Like, obviously you've raised to date $1 million or more, but how is the community response to this?
It's massive. It's one of our better attended events. That and our rummage sale are our two most attended, and we welcome, honestly, thousands of people. So it's people spread the word, make it a tradition, which is what we hope, that people come back every year, and we see that. We see repeat people and new people every year.
Sure. And then obviously, since they come, that helps spread awareness about animal or about the shelter, and then I hope then that means you're spreading awareness about animal welfare and the work that you guys do throughout the year, right?
I think that's my favorite part is that we invite so many people in that would not have came to the shelter originally. And then they're able to see our great facility and participate in this awesome event. And then they learn the other services we provide. So a lot of times people think of a shelter if they're wanting to adopt, but there's other services that we provide. We have an outdoor cat clinic, dog training classes, and we also are there for the community when they need to surrender their animal because of difficult things in their life. So.
Sure. You could say that might be community impact, right?
Yes, that is.
And that might be what your role as community impact specialist is then, right?
We have clarification now.
There we go. See, I didn't ask you what you do. You got to tell us through a story. So do you have any goals or specific needs that you're hoping to reach during this year's festival?
I guess just to, raise a little bit more money than last year for the animals, and then to invite more people in the community that have not been to the shelter into our shelter to show them, what we do for the community and how we can help them.
Sure. Speaking of the animals, are there any little influencer animals or ambassadors that you would have this year? Any animals that stand out in particular?
So we are lucky to say no.
Okay.
In the past, we've had animals for over a year. I can think of, off the top of my head, a handful of different dogs that were there for over a year. But this year, all of them have been adopted.
Good.
I mean, our cats are getting homes right away, which is awesome. But we will have plenty of animals that are around available for adoption during this event.
Great. I realized as I wrote that question, I was like, well, yeah, that might be a fun question. And then I thought, well, you don't want the animals to stay there. They want to go home with families, right?
Yeah. But it is good to highlight them.
Yeah.
It's great to give them the attention because they need it. There are long stays and we need them into homes.
Yeah.
In 2022, we had a dog named Millie. She was a white pit bull, and she was there for exactly a year.
Okay.
And when I would go to the pet store or even to Starbucks, I'd be wearing a Washington County Humane Society shirt or hat, and people would literally ask me, how is Millie doing?
Okay. Yeah.
She was literally the spokesperson for the shelter for that whole year she was there. We're lucky that we don't have any spokes animals right now.
Yes.
But yeah, they've been there.
Yes. Yeah. So, but go and find the right animal for your home and family. How has support from the Festival of Trees allowed the Washington County Humane Society to expand or enhance services over the years?
Well, Jess mentioned we rely very heavily on our fundraising events, which is very true. A large percentage of how we operate depends on how successful our events are. So this one's critical. It's our highest grossing one typically throughout our fundraising season. So that will determine which services we can enhance, which ones, if we want to start new ones, improvements to the building, things like that, how much we can spend on advertising our services. So we're very dependent on its success.
Great. Somebody can't make it to the festival this year. Are there other ways that they can support the Humane Society, or what are some of the other ways they can support during the holidays?
They can donate during this giving season, which is very important. We have an appeal coming out in just a couple weeks here. So helping in that regard, donating, volunteering at other events or around Festival Trees is also really important too. But giving this time of year is vital to our success as well.
Excellent. What do you personally love most? I'll ask both of you about Festival Trees. Jessica, we'll start with you.
I would say watching families of all ages. There's grandma and grandpa there. There's the kids, and they step foot into that room, like I said, Winter Wonderland, and their faces just light up with a smile. It's just a really fun, unique experience that we're lucky to be able to provide for the community.
Excellent. Joe?
I would say before I started at the shelter, I was kind of a Scrooge around the holidays, and I still am in some regards. But it's really hard to deny the beauty of stepping in that room. It's such a shocking moment when you see all the work and you think of all the work that goes into it, and all the time and effort that was spent.
Great.
That's my favorite part.
Again, if somebody would like to attend, what are the dates for Festival of Trees?
It is December 7th and 8th. That is a Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
On Saturday, it's going to be from 10 to 7. And on Sunday, it is 10 to 4.
Okay. How much does it cost to get in?
That's $8 for adults and $6 for kids and seniors.
Okay. And if somebody would like to learn more, what's the website for the Washington County Humane Society?
That's wchspets.org.
All right. Very good. And again, really appreciate all you guys do for pets in our local communities, and love the support that the community gives to the Washington County Humane Society. And it's always fun to have you guys in. So happy holidays to you both, and thank you both for coming in.
Thanks,
Thank you
Fuzz.
for having us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you again to Joe Poczkalski and Jessica Pillsbury for joining me on this week's episode, the 132nd episode of 15 Minutes with Fuzz. If you ever have an idea for a guest for this show, please do not hesitate to get in touch with me. You can email me, fuzz@fuzzmartin.com. That is fuzz@fuzzmartin.com. You can suggest a guest at fuzzmartin.com/guest. That is fuzzmartin.com/guest. Or you can text me 262-299-FUZZ. That's 262-299-3899. And I hope you have the most enjoyable Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for you as a listener, and I'm thankful for all the great people, events, and organizations that we have right here in Washington County. And with that, I will talk to you next week, right here on 15 Minutes with Fuzz.